Great, I think we'll get started. Hi, everybody. My name's Alan Raftery, and I'm going to be your host today. I'm delighted to welcome you to the second in a series of webinars. Today, we're going to be talking about exploring passenger-first customer service, specifically about the changes that Aer Lingus put in place to ensure their passengers have a positive experience when engaged with the contact centre. While the focus will be on aviation today, there will be learnings and takeaways from those of you who are not in the aviation industry. At the end of the day, it's all about customer service. So we've a full agenda for you guys today. I'll introduce Amach, and then we'll introduce the panel. And then we'll set the scene with the Aer Lingus story from Susanne. And then we'll go into the panel discussion covering the topics mentioned on the screen here. And we'll leave time for a Q&A. Just some housekeeping. We will encourage questions as there is time for Q&A. So please type your questions into the Q&A chat. You should see that on the webinar button at the bottom. And if you do prefer to raise your questions anonymously, please message myself, Alan Raftery, directly in the chat function, and I'll pose the questions to the panelists for you. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be shared with people who could not make today's webinar. And we'll also be sharing the deck that we are going to present during the webinar as well. So a little about Amach. We are a digital aviation cloud services company that puts your passengers first. We're a 100% remote company, and we were founded in 2013. And we now have team members in 20 countries across the globe. We're an advanced tier AWS partner, and we're delighted to have Russell from AWS on this webinar today to speak about what they're doing. From an Amach point of view, we have three main service offerings. We have on the left-hand side the customer service and experience. This is the one that we're going to talk about in detail today, covering cloud contact center. We're also specialists in cloud transformation and team augmentation. I've been delivering these services for over 10 years now, and we'd be delighted to talk to you in more detail about any of our services and how we could help your organization post-webinar. And here what we put up is some examples of aviation customer experience solutions. On the top left, you'll see Cloud Contact Center, and this is the one we're going to focus on today, where we've helped customers, either automate the task or enable the agent to reduce the call center call resolution time. What we aim to do, I suppose, is to bring one single view that provide the agents with a holistic view of the passenger's journey, enable them to give rapid responses. So now to introduce today's panel, I'll stop sharing so you can see everybody. So Susanne, I'll come to you first.
Hi, thanks, Alan. So I'm Susanne Carberry. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Aer Lingus. What that means to us is really ensuring that the customer experience can deliver for our customers every single time. And that is not even a comparable, but a better experience than what they take in their everyday life. That starts with our brand strategy and our brand proposition, turns into what we actually deliver at the airports and on board, but also then how we deliver customer service at every single touch point during that customer journey.
Great, thanks, Susanne. And over to you, Russell.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Russell Yeates. I'm one of the customer experience specialists here at AWS, specifically focusing on the travel and hospitality industry. And I've worked with Amach and also Aer Lingus on the call today to talk about how we obsess about our customers and your customers to deliver those exceptional customer experiences that we're going to talk about today.
Great, thanks, Russell. And over to you, Will.
I'm William Oldwin, Amach's Director of Cloud and Digital. I'm the principal who actually initially built our contact center capability, and I worked very closely with Aer Lingus and Amach on our delivery there.
Super. Thanks, everybody. Looking forward to the conversation. Susanne, I'll come to you first. Maybe you might set the scene and set some context out for the attendees on the webinar. Can you kind of give us a brief overview of where Aer Lingus was back in the day and where you are now and the kind of goals that you set out to achieve?
Okay, so customer service and customer experience has never been anything new to us at Aer Lingus. It's always been one thing that we've strived to improve for the end travelling customer, but also our future potential customers. However, one area where we hadn't placed an awful lot of focus on over the past number of years had been our call centre. It had been somewhat surviving with data technology, and essentially we'd been adding resources in order to really meet the increased demand that was coming from the travelling public. So we really zoomed in coming into the pandemic, but also coming out of it, about how we were going to make the customer and the agent experience much, much better in order to put power and action in the hands of our agents so they really could deliver for our customers every time. And bear in mind, this is for booking experiences, for post-booking for experiences, for disruptions. So this is dealing with happy customers, but also unhappy customers. When we zoomed in and really looked at our contact center, it needed to be about more than voice. We needed tools that allowed us to really strive to deliver that excellent customer experience across voice, but also across the chat options. Because if we look at where customers are today, they all have a preference, and we need to make sure that we can deliver upon that preference. But if I look at how we were processing over the past 2 years, past 3 years, really, we knew that ultimately the most important customer who needed to speak to an agent at a point in time, typically a disruption customer, had to suffer longer wait times. They weren't able to get through to the person that they needed. We also had a pool of agents who weren't really optimally set up to be able to help the customer that needed the help there and then. So they weren't really able to come to work and be fulfilled about what they were doing. And we also had limited use of automation. And as we know, automation gives us the ability to create more value add time for agents to spend with our customers. And we really wanted to strive and use that as a platform for it was going to be able to underpin that experience change. So we knew we had a really strong case for change, and we looked out into the market and tried to assess, how do we do this? Because it's technology, it's people, it's process. And we need to make sure that we could find a tool that would really embed that change management and change agenda mindset in order to deliver upon it. And AWS Connect was the tool that really worked for us. But of course, bringing in a tool is very simple. We've got to make sure that we really understand how we go about making that change. And that's when we actually turned to the guys at Amach and tried to assess how we bring a product-led change to the end outcome. So really being focused on the change we're trying to achieve, customer experience improvements, agent experience improvements, increased service metrics, but also increased efficiency and productivity across our offshore providers. So we looked at this together and worked in a cross-functional product-led team to really bring that change to life.
Very good. We'll get to the success stories later, but that's great context. Thanks for that. Russell, AWS is mentioned there, so maybe we come to you next around managing change, technology change in business. From an AWS perspective, is what Susanne outlined there, does that resonate with you? And have you any particular tips or recommendations for prospects or customers looking to move over to your technology?
Yeah, following on from what Susanne said there, Amazon and ourselves as our retail business, we obsess about our customers, and that's exactly what Aer Lingus do as well. And what we always talk to customers about when they're at the start of their journeys is to really think big. Susanne talked about their strategy for the next few years of how they were going to look after their customers, and especially those customers that are in disrupted situations or when things go wrong, we're overseas, and people's stress levels are at their highest point. So really looking to personalize those journeys, make it dynamic to the situation they're in, and then offer automation and deflection where we can, but also providing the alignment to the agents and give them the tools that they need to do that. Now, when we're talking about that, that might seem for a lot of businesses who are on legacy technologies or multiple point solutions, that might seem a world away of how they do that. So what we talk about at Amazon and AWS is about thinking big and starting small. So the key thing first is to align on the strategy. What is the strategy? What are we trying to get to? But then also seeing the art of the possible. So the ability to try solutions out, do some A and B testing about putting customers down certain journeys and looking at the outcomes, and then finalizing what the plan's going to look for. We do something called a PRFAQ within our business, where we write down what the press release is going to look like in a few years when we've done all this, to really help people visualize it. Then what we suggest customers do is to start small. And in a way, that's exactly what Aer Lingus did. the issue that they had around the legacy technology, that was one of the things that needed to be dealt with. So let's start small. Let's do that. Let's solve that problem, but always be thinking about the big picture of where we're getting to. And once we've started small, we can optimize, we can scale, and then we can really move fast and move to where we want to be. So it's key 3 steps there, and actually working with partners as well, and AWS and specialists like myself allow us to do that thinking big, because we've got experience of working with other airlines in other industries to bring all that learning to work with customers to try and think of that North Star where they're trying to get to.
Very good, thanks, Susan. And to you, Susanne, is that how you approached it? Think big and start small?
Absolutely. If we only went in to change the technology, we'd never actually strive to change the fundamental process and policies and ways of working that sat around it. So we knew that the experience that we deliver in the call center needed to compare with the experience that we deliver on board every single day. But what's the stepping stones in order for us to get there? And it's been a fantastic iterative approach that we've been able to embed that change. And it has changed more than just technology. It has changed policies, it has changed ways of working, it has changed resource allocation, it's changed how we work with partners. And I think having that roadmap as well then gives agents and line management the ability to really understand how that art of the possible is actually going to be possible in a 2 or 3 year horizon.
Very good, thanks for that. Will, you're kind of the man in the middle here between the tech provider and the customer. So from an implementation partner perspective, maybe can you give some recommendations on how we would go about implementing that, taking the needs of the customer and the technology and solutions that are required?
Yes, I feel, pardon me, that I'm going to be doing a little bit of a me too here in a way. I mean, we're very, very aligned with what Russell was just saying about thinking big and starting small. That's absolutely the right approach. We take a big picture approach. You know, we define what the desired target outcome is, and then we get there step by step. The mindset is sort of always be delivering. We don't want to make our customers wait a long time to get the whole solution to their problem when we can offer meaningful change in stages that make very noticeable differences to the business and its efficiency and its ability to get its job done. Really, a lot of it boils down to having the right people. You need people who have the breadth to be able to straddle the strategy side of things, to work with the business to figure out what that desired target outcome is, but who can also understand the people imperatives and also understand the technical landscape in sufficient detail to be able to put the right roadmap together to get to that target destination.
Very good. And Susanne, maybe back to you and how it all played out in the end. What were the successes that you have achieved since you started this journey?
So there's tons of metrics that we can start to get into. Our answer rates are at levels they've never been before. Our customer satisfaction is consistently in excess of 90%. Our customers are telling us that they can actually see the difference. And I think that is worth its weight in gold. When a customer tells you that I was caught in a disruption and I got through to you immediately and you were able to get me to my end destination, that's the crux. That's the customer that really needs us in that point of unhappy path, and for them to be able to play that back to a success. But also to the same degree for the customer who simply wanted to do something which wasn't time sensitive, they understood and accept why they need to be able to call back at a later time, or indeed successful deflection, that they were able to do it through another channel. But really where we also see the success is coming through the agent experience. So now the agents have tools available to them that they're able to see the value that they're playing into the customer journey every single day. Effective call routing, dynamic agent reallocation is something that's been really, really successful to us. And then when we look at it from an overall productivity perspective, these tools have allowed us to have a single view of our call center estate. So like many other people, we've got call centers in multiple geographies, which make it a little bit more challenging in order to manage. This then takes us basically up into the cloud to a certain degree that allows us to holistically understand what's going on and what's the productivity or service that we're able to offer that end customer.
Very good. And what does the future hold for what's the next steps then? Like, you have got the solution, you know where you're on your path now, but where do you see yourself, I suppose, in 12 to 18 months horizon there with your call centers, your contact centers?
To us, it's how do we use the different products that are coming online that will allow us to iteratively improve customer experience? I mean, the biggest one has to be around automation and deflection, creating more value add time for agents to deal with the customer who actually needs support. But to the same degree, if there is an issue that can be resolved end to end without the need of a voice agent, for that to be handled in a really timely manner, that the customer isn't even aware that they haven't dealt with a human, that's success. And that's a lot of the pieces that we're starting to look forward to now over the next couple of weeks. Conversational AI, end-to-end automation, ultimately finding ways that we can create more value add space for our agents to deal with customers as and when they need.
Excellent. And Russell, probably a big question for you, given what you're doing at AWS, but can you give us an overview of what we should expect to see in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, I think the key developments, there's twofold within AWS and Amazon Connect specifically. One is a lot of investment has gone into the agent workspace, which goes back to the point that Susanne made at the start, that if we provide our agents with the ability to understand what the customer is facing, pulling in core information across any channel that they want to contact us on, allows the agent to be in a really good position when they take that call. We know you're on the disrupted flight. These are the options. This is what I can do for you. It's just a much better experience. And that's why the customer feedback has come back so good. But also is looking at things like AI and Gen AI, which I know we're going to come on to a little bit later. But looking at how we can use the technology to learn from each and every interaction that a contact center has with its customers. So we believe for true CX transformation, we should be listening to every call, every chat, every bit of information that happens, and then using that information to improve those journeys. So if customers keep asking us the same questions, or we've got a better route for them understanding potentially baggage allowance or going into manage my booking for their seat allowance, all of these things allow us to shape those journeys. So it's really important to do that. I think the other key thing that is being really popular in conversations we're having with a lot of the global airlines that we deal with is around in-app messaging and calling. I think we would all be safe to say that when we're traveling now, specifically on airlines, the boarding pass, everything is in the app. So if we have an issue, to start that conversation directly from the app, or to be using the help centers or the questions in there, might help us as a business deflect the call, but also give the customer exactly what they want when they're trying to solve their issue. The final advantage to that is if we start a call or a chat that's come from an in-app message or a chat, it allows us that we know that customer already. They've probably already been authenticated. And again, just saves that time where they can say, good afternoon, Russell, can see you're on this disrupted flight. What these are the options. So again, it just helps that warm, fuzzy feeling that somebody's going to get when they're in a stressful situation, hopefully reduce what they're doing, deliver the outcome to the customer, and then obviously maintain that customer experience and satisfaction score.
Yeah, so it sounds like something that would really help the customer, all right. Will, at Amach, what are you working on at the moment? Does all that sound familiar to you? What are you working on at the moment with customers? And what are they planning to put in?
Obviously, I'm not going to be able to escape without mentioning the AI. That's a really hot topic at the moment. Russell just alluded to some of the AI capabilities that are that are integrated into Amazon Connect, and we've been working with that, and it's really quite brilliant the way that the corporate knowledge base and the real-time voice transcription and the AI can come together to proactively put on the agent's screen the information that's relevant to the question that's being asked by the caller. That's really quite excellent. One caveat, though, is that at the moment, the Amazon Q implementation is really limited to agent-facing information, like I've just described. So some additional work we're doing in some clients is doing some custom development for integrating large language model AI into customer-facing chatbots as well. Um, Another big area of work we've been doing is around simplifying the agent experience. We have some clients where their agents are required to interact with a dizzying number of different internal IT systems to deal with customer requests. And we've done a lot of work around building unified interfaces that really makes the agent's life a lot easier in having to navigate all of that complexity.
Very good. I'll come back to you, Russell, because you mentioned AI there. I suppose we can't have a webinar these days without getting into a bit of having a Gen AI question. So can you give us more details on what we can do now and maybe what you think we'll be able to do in the future with Gen AI?
Yeah. I think at the moment, a lot of the use cases in customer service, and especially within Amazon Connect and a product we've got called Amazon Q, is around agent assistance. So Amazon Q for agent assistance listens in real time across a voice call or a chat interaction and provides the agent with a suggested response, the solution that they need to do to resolve that issue, and then details from an internal knowledge management system so they can see the actual documents. And in the airline industry, we know everything comes down to rules or the things on the ticket or various things. And this just really allows organizations to bring new agents up to speed more quickly. In the case of Aer Lingus, where they're using outsourcers as well, like a lot of the airlines we work with, you're relying on third-party individuals to have that information. And if we can do anything to help those people, that makes a significant difference. And we believe that even if ultimately there's a cost to some of these services, but we think that if you could save 15 seconds on each call by providing the agent with the information, it pays for the service for the generative AI. So again, we're not talking about saving huge amounts of time. We're talking about maybe just 15 seconds. So that's really important. And that's in the call, but then using generative AI as well for post-call summarization. Less so with airlines, but some more of our travel or holiday businesses, where you might have had a conversation for 20 minutes and we're looking for the product to summarize that call into a few sentences. So generative AI is now being used to summarize the transcription of that call into a few sentences that we can then put into our CRM application. So quickly somebody can see that the last call, I phoned up about holidays to Portugal and I was looking for 5-star hotels or something like that. Is instead of having maybe a 20-minute conversation where if the agent has to come back to a call and they discussed it with the previous agent, I can see very quickly summarized what the conversation was. So I see those are the two things that are really impacting generative AI for customers today. And obviously that's going to become more and more important.
Excellent. If maybe we move to the drivers for adopting Amazon Connect, and Susanne, if I come to you first, could you outline the reasons why you adopted Amazon Connect? And maybe you can refer to you might have looked at other options in the market, but what were the primary reasons for you to take on Amazon Connect?
So obviously it's about the end outcome. And that's what we always stay focused on. Can this tool really help us change customer experience, change agent experience, and improve those metrics? And AWS Connect allowed us to do a lot of this, plus it was widely used. So it was well appreciated and understood by a large share of the market. It's allowed us and brought to life real life change that actually our frontline teams were able to see in action. So little things like changes to call routings and messaging and various things that in previous years might have taken us hours or sometimes days to bring to life. The tool allows those people to have the power within their hands to make these changes within minutes. So it creates almost a sense of independence in order to deliver upon that customer experience. It also allows one centralized view, which means that when I talk about agent pooling, if we need to move agents from selling services to servicing a disrupted customer service, our line management are able to do that within minutes. So again, they just feel more empowered in order to be able to deliver upon the customer experience that they want to deliver every single day.
Good. And Russell, from your perspective, what are you seeing in the market for reasons for people moving to Amazon Connect?
I think some of the key drivers in the travel and hospitality space, and specifically airlines, is to cope with seasonal traffic. Like other AWS services, Amazon Connect is a purely consumption-based model. So this allows airlines, holiday businesses, and other businesses to really only pay for what they're using when they need it. Historically, if we had a 500-seat call center, but we only needed 250 agents in our quiet times, we still had to pay for 500 agent licenses, not with Amazon Connect. The reason being is because we only pay for those calls and chats. And this also gets customers really thinking about that customer contact as well. So if we can automate a call and still provide that amazing customer experience, we actually drive the cost down, because we know probably handling a voice call is the most expensive thing that we do within our contact centers. So if we can move that to a chat or a chatbot or deflect that at all, we're instantly reducing our cost to serve, be that our own internal costs, but also using AWS. And that allows senior leaders like Susanne in their business to actually drive that efficiency, reduce the cost that they're having to pay organizations like us, but while still increasing the customer service. And that's really why the Amazon Connect is probably the biggest growing area of focus within our business for this type of technology. Travel and hospitality is really where it's at. And that's why so many of the big airlines across the world now use these services. But it's also interesting to think there, Aer Lingus and some of the other airlines are competing with low-cost carriers. They're all using the same technology, but they're using it in the way that can give them competitive advantage. So as Susanne said, if there's some disruption, the operations team can quickly make a change to an IVR flow to have impact on customers straight away. Yeah, I worked with some customers before where making a change in the IVR might take 2 weeks to do. That just doesn't work for an airline business where there's a lot of things outside the control of the airline, air traffic control strikes, weather disruption, these things. You have to be nimble as a business, because that's what customers will remember. They're not thinking of the air traffic controllers in France causing the issue. They're saying, how am I going to get home? How am I getting to my wedding, my holiday, or such things like that? So I think that's really why the technology has grown so much. And then going back to what I said about starting small, we don't have to do a full contact center transformation day one. A lot of our customers have started with the voice element, like Aer Lingus. We've got other customers who have started with just the chat functionality that they wanted, or the chat bot. You can start small, you can do what you need to do to meet a requirement you have today, and then grow from there. And again, without the need to go and buy licenses, anybody who's an AWS customer can start using Amazon Connect today. And anybody who isn't an AWS customer, there is a free tier which allows people, you could go and build a contact center yourself today. And that's really, inspiring to people to say, let's go and make these changes now, whereas the barriers to entry used to be so big.
Excellent. So you broke down those barriers, which is really good. Will, there's a lot in that, but is there anything else you want to add to that, maybe from the implementation side?
Sure. Pardon me again. Russell really, again, touched on a really important point, which is that Amazon Connect and locating your contact center within the cloud ecosystem really enables incredible velocity. The systems are very flexible, and they enable the possibility of technically moving and delivering at a pace that's just not possible on older legacy on-premises type kit. So as far as, actual drivers, there are almost as many as there are companies, I think. I'll just name a few. One of them is modernization. And this goes to our experience in Aer Lingus. Their starting point was that they were working on elderly on-premises equipment that was very much in need of modernization. And then the pandemic hit. And shifting to a cloud-based model really rapidly just solved a number of problems that were really critical problems for their customer service organization very quickly. Other motivators might be becoming more modern. Maybe you're already in the cloud, but you want to adopt the AI capabilities, the automation capabilities, adopt the new shiny, really cool things that take your customer experience to the next level. I think another unsung aspect of this, though, and I'll do another shout out to Aer Lingus, because I know their corporate strategy right now is very, very much oriented around data. With Amazon Connect, you can feed very detailed information about the operation of the call centers, every customer contact, into a data lake, which enables some really sophisticated analytics, reporting, dashboards that you're not going to so easily get out of an older, less advanced system.
Excellent. Just want to call out, I see just one question in there we will get to. So we've space at the end. So if you could get your questions in, that'd be great now, because we've only a few more questions for the panelists. So recommendations for getting started. Well, I'll come to you again on this one. What would you recommend if people are on this webinar or have been searching around? What's a good approach to get started, and what have you seen from your experience with other customers and what they've done?
Well, the obvious answer I'm obliged to give is give us a call. But
okay, that wasn't planned, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. If I'm going in with a team into a new customer who wants to start exploring the possibilities, one of my early priorities is to develop a really full understanding of the status quo. Understand the customer's existing technical landscape, understand their existing people landscape, what the customer service model is now, what business problems they're currently having trouble answering, really understand where things are starting from, because that's critical to setting the right direction to getting to where you want to go. It helps to really delineate and refine the bounds of the possible. It helps to ask the right questions as to which capabilities are the best ones that are going to target your pain points quickly.
Very good. Russell, anything from an AWS perspective? You've got lots of customers in travel and hospitality. What are you seeing? What do you recommend is, I won't say best practice, but what should customers be looking at?
I think the key thing to note with all AWS services, and Amazon Connect being a prime one of those, is that all of our innovation comes from our customers. 90% of our requests with the product come from the customer. And that's like me saying to you that we're customer obsessed. We want to hear from our customers, our partners, to how we should shape the roadmap, because in every industry that we work, we need to understand how we best serve our customers. And with Amazon Connect, the product was launched in 2017 into the general market, but we had used it in our business for 15 years before that. It was actually something we created. And that's really important, that Amazon Connect was built from the ground upwards in the AWS cloud and all the benefits that you get from that. But over the time, the 7 years that the product's been available, there's been 450 releases and feature releases in those 7 years, over 130 last year. And this week, there's another big conference in America where we're going to be launching some new features. So the pace of innovation just allows our customers to benefit from those straight away. We don't have to wait to the next version. The minute we launch something in all the regions that we have, the customers can start using that. And it's my job to work with partners like Amach and with our customers like Aer Lingus to see where this fits in with their business, but also to listen back to, we need this for our business, or we need that for our business. And then we work with the product teams who are always speaking to our customers about what they need to be successful. And we add those to the product roadmaps and we deliver those for customers. And that's where we see organizations really flourish.
Very good. And Susanne, from your perspective, with your business hat on, how would you recommend that that people who are looking at Amazon Connect, how do they get started?
Really circle back on the why you want to change. What's the outcome that you're ultimately trying to achieve? And from multiple lenses, so every stakeholder, what changes for them with this sort of technology in place? And really, the 5 whys is what really comes into it, because technology can enable and create so much, but perhaps ways of working, perhaps processes, policies need to be adapted or iterated in order to ensure that you can get the best use of this technology. So to me, something like this is almost a change agenda as much as a system integration.
Very good, excellent. So we've come to the end of the panel questions. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. And we have a couple of questions in there. So we had a question in from, I think it was from Andrew. It's to Will and Russell, I suppose. Is that AI capability that you spoke about earlier all provided by the AWS platform itself?
I'll jump in.
That one first.
Will, do you want to go first? Because I think you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, but with a little bit of nuance. The agent-facing stuff that I maybe stole some of Russell's thunder on is integrated directly into the Amazon Connect product. So it's not only a part of the AWS platform, it's actually part of Amazon Connect itself. The customer-facing AI work that we've been doing with some clients is not internal to the Amazon Connect product, but we are building that using other AWS platform capabilities, specifically SageMaker and Bedrock, which are their flagship AI products.
Excellent. And Russell, anything to add?
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to add. I think the Amazon Q product itself is available to do lots of different things. The specific bit that we were talking about within Connect, as Will said, it's actually built into the platform, built into the agent desktop, and allows you to roll that out straight away. So ultimately, it's pulling data from knowledge articles or documents that you have within your business, stored within AWS, and then allows those to be provided to the agent either in real time, listening to what people are saying, or by using the search bar. So agents can also type in, I need to find out what the policy is for this type of ticket, for instance.
Excellent. This is for all, so anybody can answer it. We have more than one contact center location. You've talked about starting small but focusing big. How small could we start with a Connect project? Russell, you alluded to that earlier on, so maybe continue on that one, and other people can chip in.
Yeah, and again, I think it goes back to my point of the tool is available for all. We work with some of the biggest banks in the world who've got 30,000 plus agents, but I also work with a startup bank that's got 7 agents. Everybody's got the same access to all the tools, paid for in the same way, and the ability to integrate these products together to provide those customer experience journeys. So frankly, the number of agents has no bearing on where we think people should start. And ultimately, that's why, excuse me, a lot of the customers that we have started as SMBs or startup businesses and then grow on that journey because they don't have to make a huge investment in a technology. So that was really obviously very popular during the COVID times where people needed something set up quickly and delivered for them. And that's why Amazon Connect has grown so much as a product, where we've now got over 1 million agents using the platform on a daily basis.
Very good. Will, you have your hand up, so
yeah, I just wanted to add a small real life example to that, and Susanne knows exactly where I'm going with this. But this is exactly what we did with Aer Lingus. Aer Lingus were operating contact centers in 4 different geographical locations across 3 different continents, and they varied widely in size. From, I think the smallest was about 12 agents, and the largest was several hundred. And that is the exact approach we took, actually, is that we migrated the various geographical sites, each of which was on their own separate telephone platform, over to Connect individually. And we started with the small ones and then finished with the big ones.
Excellent. I have a question here, I can throw it out. Would you recommend airline companies prepare a strategy to include AI first before you get started?
I think that should be part of any conversation moving forward. I don't think, ultimately, you've got to, the think big is thinking about where you want to get to. And some AI technologies can be as simple as how you plan your workforce or transcription of calls. These are traditional AI services that a lot of people are probably doing in their businesses today. I think it forms part of that journey, but don't let the thought of AI and generative AI stop you making that transformation today. I think, as we talked about earlier, there's a lot of conversation about Gen AI and all these things going on with our business and all other businesses, but it's really working backwards from that customer as well. Is this going to make a significance to the customer? Is it going to improve those journeys? And is it going to have an impact on customer satisfaction? Those are the areas that we think that you should focus on first, before looking at technology that might take a longer time to deliver. Get that early win and then scale from there.
Very good. Question for you, Susanne. Does Aer Lingus plan to open up more channels for customers to contact, or are calls, online chat through Facebook Messenger and emails the preferred journey for the foreseeable? So your channels.
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the outset, we want to improve the customer experience throughout, whether it's helping someone with a booking, helping them on day of travel, or a post-booking event where they need support or a query answered. And we want to make sure we do that in a customer-centric approach. So while we have progressed our path forward with voice, and we are also working through chat at the moment, we're already thinking about the art of the possible as regards how we can provide more digital companions to our customers in channels of their choosing, not of the ones that we decide to operate. So we're absolutely on a path at the moment to identify what those channels are, where they're going to be most effective, how we can make sure we have depth as well as breadth, and really ensure that Aer Lingus can deliver upon that experience regardless of where you are in the world with any digital companion that you have.
Very good. Another question here around what challenge did Aer Lingus face when rolling out AI, if any? Did anybody take that one? Well,
do you want me to go on?
Sorry.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
So I think the challenge that we've had with AI has really just been the understanding of it being value add and adding additional experiential benefits, as opposed to a threat for what it might cause. So we've been really, really keen here in Aer Lingus to make sure that we look at it as an innovation opportunity, but also that we add it within our 5 why questions. Why are we not considering AI? What more could it do? How can it start to play more of a part? We can't be afraid of any of these sort of technologies, but in some instances or in some parts of the world or parts of the partnerships that we have, it can sometimes be seen as a bit of a threat. So we always come back to really positioning it on how does this help us achieve that end outcome? How does this make the agent experience better? How does it make the customer experience better? And I appreciate it may sound like a broken record on some of those 2 things, but if there are core principles and that's what we're sticking to, AI is just a path that helps us get there.
Excellent. I think we've covered all the questions there. If there's any that have come in the chat, then we can take them offline and respond to you afterwards, and we can share the questions that have been asked there. I'm gonna start closing the webinar now. So speaking of webinars, future webinars in our series, these are suggestions that we've come up with in Amach, enabling cloud transformation, increasing airline revenue, optimizing the OTP, data-driven airlines. One that we had on the last one as well is disruptions. What happens when it all goes wrong, and maybe scaling tech talent. So they're options. We've a short poll at the end of this webinar, and we've a question in there. So if you want to see one of those in the next webinar, we're running a series of these, and you want one of those to be the next webinar, please do vote for it. We are in Amach, our business is around helping airlines, and we'd like to offer free discovery. So for the participants of this webinar, we're going to offer 5 one-day discovery and review sessions to help organizations benchmark their current call center setup against best in class. We're going to do that in a first come first serve basis, subject to qualification. How you do that is you can email me. There's my email address. There's my picture. And I put a QR code up for LinkedIn. So if you don't get you can take a picture of that and you can connect with me in LinkedIn, and I'll go about organizing, talking to the right people in Amach to arrange that review and discovery session. I think it'd be very useful for a lot of companies. We've done a lot of great work with airlines and other organizations, and we'd love to talk to companies about how we can help them. So finally, it's just for me to thank the panelists first and foremost. A very interesting discussion. I want to thank you for the time and the effort you put into this. Very informative, and also like to thank the participants for the great questions. On behalf of everybody here on the panel and Amach, thank you, and we hope to see you in a webinar very soon. Thank you for your time. Take care.